Hey Ron, how you doing, buddy? Hey Nick, been doing okay, pal. How are you? No, I haven't been on here much. Hey Ron, how you doing? Let's lower this. Kind of middle of the afternoon live. Give people a second to jump on. There won't be many on here because hopefully most humans are working right now, being a productive member of society. Doing all right. Doing okay. Hey Terry, how are you? Oh, you guys are looking good, Terry. Doing so well. So well. Terry, you're really going to enjoy your next dog. It's going to be such a good dog. It won't be long before you're like, we need another dog because you've learned so much and you're doing so well. You deserve that easy dog that's fun to train. And so it's just a matter of time. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Sane. You'll get it soon. You'll get it soon. You'll have a puppy on the way. Lily will be happy. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July weekend. Everyone still has their fingers. Just going to give people a minute or two and then we'll jump on. I don't expect too many people on here middle of the day. Hey, Phil. Phil, man, you're looking awesome, buddy. Man, you're killing it. You're killing it. You look absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. You're doing a lot better than a lot of dog trainers out there, buddy. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh, I know I'm right, Terry. I know I'm right. You will be getting another puppy before too long, just because you're going to want to put everything you've learned into a dog from the start, you know? And the good thing is, Terry, the way it's supposed to be is each dog you get, the next one should always be better because we all learn from our mistakes with the previous dog, things we wish we would have done different or better. All of us, every single one of us. Hey, D, every single one of us, you know, every one of us. Man, we finally got some rain here. Thank God. It's been bad. Hey, Nick, how was Vegas, man? What's up, Glenn? Glenn, we got to get together and hit all the Jersey spots and do some eating. I'm ready to head back to Vegas, Nick. I miss it already, although the body takes a little while to recover now. You know, it really does. Okay, I won't keep you guys on too long. I don't want to stay on here too long. All right, I didn't expect too many people to be on. All right, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. I'm not on here that often anymore. I don't put out that much stuff. I don't put out a bunch of YouTube videos anymore. I don't do a bunch of lives. I've really cut it back. And the reason for that is I feel like I've said everything I have to say, right? I've never been someone to just put out content every day just to put out content and try to keep my social media numbers up. I've never been interested in that. I don't care. And to be honest with you, I see so many people doing that on a daily basis. And it's just kind of a turnoff because when you have to produce content just to produce content, I think it loses its value and its honesty, you know, and then you just start talking and it's just not important. So I really, if I have something that I think it's important for people, I'll jump on here. But as you see, it's far and few in between. And so several people have reached out to me and commented on that. They said, hey, you're not putting anything out. And we kind of look forward to it because we always learn something. And this is the reason I explained to them. And then a lot of them sent me a video that another trainer put out recently. And we won't go too deep into that. But in a nutshell, it was someone asking advice for a behavioral problem they were having with their dog. And this very well-known trainer, their advice to this dog owner was set the e-collar on 100 and hold the continuous button down for 10 seconds. And so many people were appalled, and a lot of people got blocked and they couldn't make comments. They were really disgusted by that. And so people started sending me that and said, hey, Kelly, I don't know how to say your name, Maria, but thanks for being on all the way from Hungary. But they said, this is why it's important that you keep speaking up, because if the average everyday dog owner only has this kind of advice to go off, we're in trouble. We're all in trouble. And that's true. That hurts all of dog training. No matter what side of the fence you fall on, that hurts us all. And that hurts a lot of dogs, right? And so I get a lot of questions every day. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I'll take 1 or 2 or 3 questions every day, and I will try to jump on here and answer them in a live or just a regular video to try to help somebody. Right. And so my whole goal from the first video I put out in, 15, 16 years ago, the whole goal was that I tried to provide something beneficial for the everyday dog owner. That's it. To make people stop frying their dogs, to start harming their dogs, to make it easier for the owner, to enhance the relationship. That's been my goal. Have I succeeded? I don't know. I tried to, right? I tried to. The feedback's been tremendous for a long time. And so I said, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe it is my responsibility to jump on here and still try to help those people that want it, okay? And so I will start answering questions in here and do the best I can to provide something of value for someone. But instead of answering a question today, thank you, Kent, appreciate that. Instead of answering a question, I had a private lesson with a client the other day that I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I think there's some importance there, and hopefully someone finds it beneficial, right? So I'll give you a little bit of background. I've talked about this dog before. I think I've put out some videos with this dog. This is a client that I wasn't supposed to take on. Hey, Nikki, how are you? Hello, Jane. Thank you, Jane. This was a client that had tried to get in with me for a really long time, and I just couldn't get to him. Rottweiler, aggression issues, really struggling. And I just didn't have the time to get to him. Fast forward several months later, I get a call from a trainer I know, and she tells me about this potential client she just talked to. She gives me this scenario. And I said, oh, wait a second. I said, I know, I've talked to this guy. I have talked to him. So he found a few different trainers to take the dog on. To make a long story short, the dog was kicked out of 2 training programs. I've talked about her before. This Rottweiler was kicked out of 2 board and train programs for being too aggressive. Okay. This is a fantastic dog owner, a really committed guy, but he was at the point where he's like, look, if I can't get help, I can't keep this dog because it's just too difficult for me to handle. And he lives in a very busy, populated area. So I talked to him and I said, you know what? I said, we'll start it. I'll take you on. I'll do private lessons with you. I can't take you on for a board and train, but I will do private lessons with you. And so I took him on. We met for the first time, and I did go through our first couple of lessons in video, and I think I showed some of it too, but I won't go too deep into it. But I'm very grateful I did, because definitely one of my favorite people, one of my favorite clients, just a really great husband and wife, really great husband and wife. And from day one, I was able to see this dog was not a bad dog. The aggression issues that were labeled on this dog from 2 other training companies were completely misplaced, right? Did the dog have some issues? Can she seem like that if you do the wrong thing? I'm sure. But day one, this dog is loving on me, and we're having a great time, and we're playing, and things are getting more clear. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful dog. Wonderful dog. So I take them on for private lessons. One of the first things he says is, I don't want to do any e-collar stuff. Great. That makes me happy, because that makes my teaching a lot easier, right? because when we have to jump into the e-collar stuff, that's a lot of education I have to provide once we get to it. That's stressful. That's a lot more work on the teaching end. And my effort goes into the human. The dog's not even an issue. It goes into the human. And when we have to add that e-collar stuff, it's a lot. It's a lot. It takes a lot of time to do it right, at least the way I want it done. So there was no interest there. I was like, beautiful. That makes it even better. So we've had, I believe, 3 private lessons over the past few months. Yes, few months. I spread them out. I don't rush through this. I take our time and I go along with the human needs, how fast they learn, where they're at, what they're having difficulties with, and I keep it very, very simple. So the first 2 lessons were done at my home. 3rd lesson is done at his home where he lives, very busy area, and it was fantastic. We had a great time together, great lesson. So after that, everything's going well. He's having a little issues with a couple of things, but nothing major, like big, big difference, right? And he says, eventually he says, you know what? He goes, am I crazy, or do you think I could benefit from the e-collar stuff? You know, and my answer was simple. Well, anyone can benefit from it. You don't have to do it, but of course you benefit from it. Everybody benefits from it. He said, I think I want to do it. I said, okay, great, no problem. So I'm going to order you an e-collar. I'm going to have it sent right to your house. I just want you to put it on the dog every day for a few hours, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, we'll get started. He says, okay, great. So that's what we did. So a couple of days ago, I go down there to see him. We meet at a big park in a very busy area along a busy road, and we're going to start the training that day with the e-collar. Now, first, of course, we're going to go back and see where they're at with everything else we did. Okay. So the first thing I do, and like I said, not everybody may have interest in this, but to me, it's very important. To me, this is the most important stuff. So when people ask, why do you get such phenomenal clients? In my opinion, this is why. This is the way we do things. And I want all trainers to understand how important it is. So when we met in the parking lot, we don't say, okay, you know, let me see you heal your dog. Let me see you place your dog. Let me see you do that. We don't do that. We sit there, we bullshit a little bit. I say hello to the dog. The funny thing is, he said, as him and his wife are pulling in down the street and they're coming into the park, the dog's real chill in the car, you know, just real mellow. And she's just chilling out. He said, as soon as she saw me standing there, she started getting excited and going crazy. That's what I want. When a client's dog sees me, I want that dog going, this shit's going to be great. Here's my buddy, right? That's what I want. Not just because I want to see that reaction from the dog, but you have to think about, guys, how important that is to the owners. The way your dog, the way their dog responds to the person working with them is very important. So if that dog sees the trainer comes to your house and the dog goes and hides behind the couch, do you think that those owners can enjoy the process? No. They're going to be second guessing everything, and they're going to have a very negative connotation with the whole process, right? But when the owners see the dog light up, they feel like what they're doing is the right thing. And it is. So that's important. So I'm loving on the dog. We say hello. She gets real worked up and excited, right? And then there's a bench over there, and I say a table, picnic table. I say, let's go sit down. And it's right along a busy road. And all of this has purpose. I want you to understand it all has meaning, right? So he sits on one side of the picnic table. I sit on the other. And I tell him, just put your dog in a sit and let's just sit here and talk. Then we start bullshitting. And we're talking about the dog, and we're talking about some dog training. But for the most part, we're just talking as friends. You know, and we're talking about personal things and what's going on in his life, what's going on in my life, important stuff. In the grand scheme of things, dog training's not that important when we all have bigger things we're dealing with, right? And there's a couple of reasons for that. For one, I do care. I do care what's going on with him and his family and that everything's okay. And they're going through tough things, just like I have been through tough things before. And so it's important for me to find out if they're okay in their headspace, right? Because we don't need to do this today if we don't have to. Let's just sit here and talk. You need to talk to someone. Let's do that, right? And we talk about a lot of things. But during this time, if you were to walk by, it's just two guys talking and a dog sitting there, but it's not. And he doesn't understand at this time. We're training and I'm watching. So what I'm seeing is the dog is very antsy and uncomfortable and breaking her sit and moving behind him and checking this out and checking this out. And I'm telling him, I'm pointing it out, right? You have to address that. You have to let her know this is what I need you to do now. You know what I mean? And he said, okay. And he's making mistakes, but I want that. I need him to make the mistakes. I don't want the dog to be scared to make mistakes, and I don't want the human to be scared of mistakes. But I'm going to show him, I'm going to let him know what he's doing wrong and why the dog continues to do that, right? I'm going to point it out. I'm not going to beat him up, but I'm going to explain to him, not just point it out, I'm going to explain to him why the communication and the language is so important and why what he's doing and what he's saying isn't making sense to the dog. And I break that down and I explain it, and he goes, that makes so much sense. It's okay. Now give me the dog. And I bring her over with me and I tell her to sit, and she sits down and we go back to talking. And I'm not paying attention to the dog, but I'm always paying attention to the dog. And she sat there for a few, right? And the second she went to get up, I jumped on it quickly. Little quick leash pop. Hey, knock the shit off. Relax. And at that moment, it was very important for him to see that. How I did it, the timing, my demeanor. I didn't wait for it. I didn't anticipate it. I wasn't worried about it. I wanted her to make the mistake so I could show her this is what you have to do. You don't have an option at this time, right? Because she knows how to do it. But I needed him to see that. And then what he got to see after that was the dog just, thank God. Okay. Awesome. And she just went into complete calmness and sat there as relaxed and happy as could be as we continued to talk for a while, right? Not a care in the world. And as we're talking, I said, you do see your dog. You see her right now, right? He says, I can't believe like the difference. Like she's just so relaxed. I'm like, exactly. Because it's clear to her. She doesn't have to worry and stress about what's around now because she knows I'll take care of it, right? She knows she's completely with me and doesn't have to worry about anything else. And after a while of her just being relaxed, then I said, come here, girl. And I brought her closer to me and I just loved on her. And I didn't love on her in a way, oh my God, you did so great, you know, and ruin everything we just did. I loved on her, right? I took her softly and I loved on her and I rubbed her. And the more I rubbed behind the ears and talked to her softly, telling her, man, you're amazing. You're a beautiful girl. You're a really good girl. The eyes just kept going, and she just was in such a relaxed state, right? Such a relaxed state. People need to see that. I said, okay, girl, go sit down. And she went back to sitting down, right? That's dog training for me. That's everything. That's the most important stuff. That's the stuff I love. That is where we fix the aggression. That is where we fix the reactivity. Okay, I'm sorry, I was just reading a text from my wife. So that's where the problems are fixed, guys. Not when the dog is blowing up at a homeless individual with a dog. Not when the dog is blowing up when a dog's coming near it. Those problems are fixed when we're sitting at the bench talking. That's where the communication is established. Now, we haven't done any e-collar stuff. We haven't started the training, right? This is just training starts before the training starts. I've been saying that since the first video I ever made. That's what I'm talking about. Training starts before the training starts. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Hey, babe. Yeah, I did. I'm on a live. I'll cut it short here and I'll go get her in a few. 3 o'clock. Are you able to? Nah. I'll get her. I'll get her. I'll get her. I'm not going to be long. Yeah. Love you. Bye. Sorry, guys. Have to get Sophia. She started her first job today. She's working, and her car is being checked out. We bought her a car for her birthday, and she don't have her car. So sorry, you don't need to all know that. That's where the problems are fixed. In that moment, that's everything. That's everything, right? We don't put the dog in the situation it struggles and try to fix that. Okay, now let's jump into the e-collar stuff. So now we're going to start introducing the dog to the e-collar for the first time. I'm not worried about the dog, but I have to make sure that the owner can accomplish this in the proper way, right? So I start off no different than I do with any other dog. The owner's handling the dog. I break everything down to him, what we're going to do and why. So I go very deep into negative reinforcement, escape avoidance training, right? How the dog benefits from this, how the dog finds a way to better its situation, how by teaching the dog to escape the stimulation very quickly, we want the dog to understand how to avoid the stimulation. That's the whole thing, right? That's the key. So I need him to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So, make a long story short, we start off and we go into what we normally do. No different, except I'm holding the remote, he's handling the dog, and I'm telling him, okay, when I say now, I need you to call the dog, mark a road, the whole thing, right? You've seen me do it 1,000 times. Except he was struggling a little bit. He was having a hard time with the mechanics and the timing. And because of that, what happens is if I ask you to call the dog because I'm about to tap the button before the command, right? I need the timing to be impeccable because when you're using that continuous button, I don't care how low level the stimulation is. If you're holding that stimulation button down for more than a second, even at the lowest levels, it becomes very aversive to the dog and become a very negative thing. We don't want that, right? We don't want that. The second that button comes on, it's press here, release that quick. If it's press, it's down, 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 and you're thinking about what to doing and it's going even on the lowest levels, it becomes very aversive to the dog, very uncomfortable, and a very negative association. And I don't want that. So the second I saw he was struggling with that, I said, okay, give me the dog. So I spent 5 minutes, less than 10 minutes with the dog, giving it 5 or 10 minutes of repetitions, a few here or there, showing the dog for the first time how to escape this new foreign sensation that the dog's never experienced and doesn't make sense to the dog, and produce a reward, the food for yourself that you like, right? So that was all done in less than 10 minutes. Just enough repetitions to where it makes sense to the dog. And the second the button goes on and I say here and she turns and I release and say yes and she comes running for the food. Very smart dog, very quick. And the thing is, when we make the communication clear for the dog, they learn quickly. So now she gets it. I say, okay, that's all I need at this point. So now I'm going to give the dog back to you. We're going to put the dog on a very long line. Now we're out in a big park on the grass with tons of distractions and tons of smells. And now we're going to take a little bit of a different route. Why am I taking a different route? For the dog? No. Dog's going to be fine. I could teach this many different ways, and I have over the years. But I have to identify what's going to be the best, the easiest, the most simplistic way that the owner's going to succeed over the next week or two when I'm not around. How's it going to be best for him? Very simple. The dog already figured out how to escape. Now let's teach the dog how to avoid it, right? So with a long line and with a lot of movement, not standing stagnant movement, letting the dog run around, I tell him I'm still handling the e-collar. The e-collar is not on the dog's lowest level perceived, right? So before the command, it was on a number 9, right? That was very, very low. That's where the dog started showing enough that the dog was feeling it enough to want to remove it, right there. Very low, average number, right? Between 6 and 10, most dogs. This is a Rottweiler, usually they're a little higher. But now we're not on a 6 or a 9. Now we're going to bump it a little higher. Now associate it like it was a leash. Now we need a little leash pop when the dog doesn't respond, right? So now the dog's in the 20s or the 30s. I don't even remember exactly where it was. And now we're letting the dog be in drive and we're moving. And I don't want him standing still. I want him moving around. And then when I tell him, call the dog, and the first time he calls the dog and she's running around and the nose is in the ground because there's all kinds of dogs that go there, and she doesn't respond immediately, I tap, 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 and I make him show the dog what he wants. Come to me, right? One of the most important things with negative reinforcement is you have to be the one to show the dog the way out. Don't allow the dog to try to figure it out. You want the relationship strong? You be the one to show the dog how to get out of this. Show the dog the way, right? So he calls the dog. She doesn't respond. I tap, tap. He shows the dog, hey, come on, let's go. And he's going the other way. Going the other way. She turns, comes around, the tapping stop. He marks and rewards. Boom. Success. That's what we want, right? Now the dog saw when she didn't respond, the aversive came after the fact for not responding, for not complying. When she did decide to come, the aversive went away and she still got rewarded, right? So we did that. I probably hit the e-collar out of the first 10 recalls 3 or 4 times that she hesitated or didn't come, right? If she didn't come, that makes it easy. But I also want her to hesitate, even just take an extra second. Tap. Okay, now she comes. So she's learning very fast. After those 3 or 4 or 5 times, whatever we hit it, now we couldn't get her not to come to us. Couldn't do it. Not walking up towards the street, towards where his wife was, where it was her biggest distraction. She's going over to see the wife. He calls her, boom, on a dime comes. Happy-go-lucky. Now we can't use the e-collar. She's coming every single time. That's the goal, right? So now, and the reason I'm talking about this now, and I have to cut it a little short because I have to pick up Sophia, so sorry. But he called me today. I was at the gym. He sent me a text. He said, you have a second? I have a question. Sure. So he calls me and we talk. And he goes, look, we're taking this dog out to busy places with really big distractions. And I got her running around. And she's not giving me an opportunity to use the e-collar. She's coming to me every time, no matter what. And he was concerned like they're doing something wrong. I said, no, that's what we want. That's perfect. That's perfect. We don't want the dog scared not to respond. We don't want the dog coming to us because it's been crucified. We want the dog understanding where its benefit is, right? We taught the dog how to escape over a very short period of time. Then we taught the dog how to avoid very quickly. The beautiful thing about these animals is when the communication, when the information is very clear and consistent and makes sense to the dog, they do it. They do it. They don't want to be defiant, right? Some are a little tougher than others, but in a nutshell, if you provide the information that makes sense to them and there's benefit in it for them, makes a big difference. Makes a big, big difference. So that's what he said. He said, we can't get her not to come to us. That was one session with the e-collar. Today's his first time working the dog by himself. That's what we want. I said, when I come down in a couple of days, we'll make it even more difficult. And hopefully she gives us 1 or 2 times to remind her, no, girl, this is what you have to do. Okay? Now, part of the thing that I see with a lot of people with the e-collar, you guys do it how you want, what you want. But in my opinion, this wouldn't be acceptable for me or my clients, right? If you're 6 months into training and you still find yourself, now remind you, I'm talking in general, everyday dog owners, not because you're part of some kind of system or in the working dog world or doing it to enhance performance, none of that stuff. Hey, Tim, the average everyday dog owner, including my dogs, in my opinion, and this wouldn't be acceptable for me, if you find yourself hitting that e-collar every day because your dog's not responding to a recall or something else, the training is seriously flawed. It wouldn't be acceptable for me, not for my dogs, not for my clients, right? So I can't tell you the last time I had a tap and e-collar for my dogs to come to me. I don't care where we're at, what we're doing. And that's what I expect from my clients. Not saying they'll never have to again, but it shouldn't be often. It shouldn't be often, right? So I see people whose dogs were trained 2 years ago, and they still have to rely on the e-collar to get the dog to them when it's off leash. I'm sorry, guys, but that's a serious flaw in the training. That's not successful training. So the goal for my dogs and every single dog I work with, every client, there's people I've never met and just through my videos have succeeded with this. The whole goal is that your dog responds to the command no matter what the real world distraction is when it's off leash with no tools, no leash, no e-collar, no nothing. For me, that's the end goal. That doesn't come from putting the e-collar on the dog and forcing the behaviors. That comes from us sitting at that picnic bench and talking about what we did and doing what we did. And then keeping it so simple and so realistic that the dog can't fail and you can't mess the dog up. That's important. And that's why I do it the way I do it. Okay? I appreciate you guys for jumping on. I have to cut it short because I got to go get my girl who's working now. She's a steak and shake engineer, my world's favorite milkshakes. I'm going to exploit that. And she's driving. She's got a car. Crazy. I'm going to try to be better about jumping on here and providing information for the people that want it. Okay, guys? As always, I truly, truly, truly appreciate the support you guys have given me over the years. And I'm going to try to keep giving it back. All right? Peace out, people.